would do so many things differently if I could go back and restart my YouTube channel. I learned things as I was going. I didn't know what I was doing at the beginning, so I'm gonna get into the mistakes I made while growing to 12K subscribers so you don't have to make these same mistakes. I started my channel because I always wanted to be a content creator, and I tried lots of different types of content until I finally landed on eco-friendly product reviews. I was pretty passionate about trying to reduce my waste, finding eco-friendly alternatives, and I realized there was a little gap on YouTube for that. There weren't a lot of people making eco-friendly product reviews, so I started trying that, and that's how I grew my YouTube channel. I was seeing a lot of growth during the pandemic, but my life was also like doing a 180 during that time. I was not ready to show up on YouTube, let alone in my real life. Basically, that led me to here. We're pivoting, we're restarting, but I'm gonna tell you the mistakes I made on the way. Let's get into mistake number one. Niche down. Number one is I created a super specific niche down brand. Now, if you are on the YouTube tips, YouTube growth, social media growth area in general, you are going to hear so much about a niche. There are so many experts, social media experts that talk about niching down. However, recently there's been this trend about not niching down because a lot of creators get into this bubble where you niche down and then you want to pivot and maybe you're not passionate about something anymore. And that's kind of what happened to me. I was super specific about my niche once something worked. And once I started making those reviews, those popped off on YouTube. And so then I was just the eco-friendly review girl. And I loved it for a minute until I wasn't passionate about it, until I got pretty real with myself and I was on a healing journey. Yes, I still care about being eco-friendly. Yes, I still care about the climate crisis, but I also just didn't feel passionate about making content about it on a weekly basis. That just didn't feel right to me anymore. So I wanted to pivot. I know the majority of the audience that I had was just there for eco-friendly product reviews. Even when I made other eco-friendly videos, they just did not perform as well because people were searching for specific review videos. And if you know anything about SEO, it did really well. And then when I tried other content, my audience didn't really care about me. They just cared about the value I provided. Again, not everyone, but the majority, yes. And so when I did try different content, it just didn't perform well with my audience. We'll get back to that in a second here, but that's the main thing. Number two is not continuing to try new content. So in the beginning, before I grew, I was trying a lot of different content, kind of seeing a little bit about what was working and what wasn't. But once I saw that eco-friendly product reviews are getting views and growing my channel and I'm getting subscribers from that, I stuck to that. I honestly think this held me back in a lot of ways because I think review content can build community, but they're only really there for the value you're providing. They're really only there for like products that you're reviewing and highlighting. They don't care about you. They knew me for eco-friendly product reviews. That's what they were there for. That's what they signed up for. And ultimately, I was afraid to try new things because as a tiny creator back in the day, and I still feel pretty dang small, I saw what was working and then I was afraid to try anything else. I was like, well, this is working, so I have to stick to this kind of content. Like I have to keep making the content that people are coming back for and people are searching for. Why would I make anything else? And I really think that was a little bit of my downfall overall. But again, I was young and I was just trying my best. So the third mistake was that I chased views versus really building community, like I kind of mentioned earlier. And I do think I built community for sure, but again, they were just there for a certain kind of value. They were just there to get my product reviews, to see what I recommended and what they were gonna purchase. Yes, that builds community to an extent, but it wasn't the type of community I was honestly thinking about building. And that's my fault because I was just making that one type of content. So if you just wanna make content about a topic and you don't want your audience to get to know you at all, then that's fine. But I also kind of wanted to be a little bit more personal and like have my audience get to know me a little bit. Again, I'm still pretty private. I don't want the world knowing every little detail about my life, but I did want them to kind of get to know me, and I felt like I just didn't create the content in order to do that, and I didn't really build the community to get more above a surface level of just providing the value, if that makes sense. But yeah, think about the type of community you want to build. I didn't focus on the business side of things that I really should have. So yes, I was focusing on YouTube as a business, which honestly, I think everyone should do if they're getting into YouTube, because YouTube takes so much more time than any other platform. As someone who has posted on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, as a podcast editor, video editor, and social media manager, like, I'm telling you right now, if you are making long form content, it is going to take so much more time, energy, and effort than any other platform. It would take me a whole day, if not longer, just to edit the content. That doesn't include planning, that doesn't include filming, that doesn't include uploading, making a title, description, tags, keyword research, like all the stuff that goes into YouTube. There's so much more than people think about. And yes, there are people that get lucky and just post, don't know anything, and go viral, and that's incredible and amazing to them. But the majority of creators out there, they gotta do a lot of work on the back end. They gotta do a lot of post-production work. And I think a lot of people just don't wanna make long form content in general. So if you follow YouTube content creators, please, please, please tell them how much you love them, because it takes so much time and energy. And especially when you're not getting that monetary value back from it, it's a lot. So let's dive into a little bit of the monetization stuff with YouTube. So I was focusing a lot on YouTube AdSense, which is the ad revenue you make when you have little ads in the middle of your videos. I was focused on affiliates and brand sponsorships. I was like, okay, I know this is how other big creators are making money from posting content on YouTube, but like, I need to recreate that because I gotta make money. And I will say my AdSense revenue tended to be higher than other creators at my size, simply because of my niche. I was getting a lot of people from search. A lot of people that viewed my videos were just there for a specific product review and then would go and buy that product, which also helped with affiliate revenue, because when you're focusing content on a specific product, they're probably either gonna not buy something or buy something based on a certain review, on watching a ton of reviews. So I would get affiliate links based on certain products if they were in that description box. However, I really wish I had something of my own to sell and to provide my audience, because I was focused on really a lot of unpredictable income streams for this. I don't know, I was still a newbie, I was still really young. I thought that that would be enough, and I thought that like that would be okay long term, but I really, really, really think, especially now being a podcast editor and manager, like I really do think that selling something of your own is a bit more stable and consistent than just focusing on AdSense, affiliates, and sponsorships. And honestly, I had to do a lot of inner work. Like, I truly was in a headspace of feeling like I had no value to provide unless I was providing free value. I know now that that's not true, and I know a lot of things that some other people might not know that I can help them with. I just was in the headspace that like I was a bad person if I was trying to sell something and make money. Money is bad, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, Kristen, you need money to survive in this world, and just providing free content is amazing and great, and that's an incredible free resource, but you are also allowed to sell something. You are also allowed to make some money. You don't just have to make everything for free, because at the end of the day, the affiliate revenue, the AdSense revenue, it is so small in the amount of time and effort you put into making long form YouTube content. Depending on your size and all of your analytics and all of that, you can get some good money from brand sponsorships. Of course, it varies from content creator to niche, all of that jazz. That's a little bit better, but again, unpredictable, especially for the small creator. It's very unpredictable. So on that note, if you are new to YouTube or you just started your YouTube channel, I do offer one-on-one strategy calls. They're for an hour, or YouTube audits. The YouTube audits, I can go through your channel, kind of give you tips on what you can work on, what you're doing really well at, so you can grow and build a sustainable business and channel long term. I'll have that info linked down below. I just love helping people with YouTube, because YouTube truly is my favorite platform. It is the OG video platform, and I really do think it is here to stay long term. Moving on, next mistake. You guys, I'm gonna be honest. My last mistake is that I really do wish I pivoted sooner. I did try some content for a bit. I obviously was not consistent, and that was another major problem when I was trying to pivot at first. And to be honest, I was not ready to show up. I was still on my healing journey, doing a lot of inner work, figuring out what I needed for me before showing up on social media. And that took a lot of building my confidence and self-esteem and realizing that my worth was not related to the numbers I get based on views and subscribers and all of that, which, you know, sometimes it still hurts when you see those low numbers, but I know that's gonna happen when you pivot. When you pivot and you have an audience built around one certain niche or one type of video, yeah, you're gonna lose views, you're gonna lose subscribers, there's gonna be this building period again, kind of like you're starting over. Of course, there are gonna be people that stick with you and stay with you and wanna see the new content, but ultimately there's a lot of people who just frankly don't care, and that's okay. I've been there with other content creators that have pivoted, and if I really liked their content and I liked their personality, I stuck around. If I was interested in the pivot, I stuck around. But there were also content creators where I thought they were great. I thought they made great content, but I just wasn't interested in the new stuff they were talking about. And that's okay. That is to be expected. And I just wish I got out of my head and I wasn't afraid and I just posted. I just started committing and posting, because that's gonna be the hardest part when you pivot. If you don't pivot sooner, it's gonna be so much harder later on. The more you wait, the more you struggle. So start now. You were supposed to start yesterday. Start now if you can. If you're in that mindset, you're in that headspace where you're just ready to commit and to grow and to pivot and see what happens when you pivot, there's no better time than now. I know that sounds cheesy, but that is the truth. If you are someone who values being your authentic self, self-care, self-love, creative freedom, living in alignment, all of those good things, stick around, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video next Wednesday. And until then, cheers to getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that scare you, because they're worth it and you will see growth, at least in my opinion. I'll see you guys next week. Bye guys.